Hi, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to look at 6 reasons why it could be difficult moving back to Nigeria or any other African country um, that you may be considering retiring to, even if it's on a part-time basis like myself. So let's dive straight into these 6 reasons. The first reason why it may be difficult, obviously, is because of your immigration status. If you are working in the West, say UK or European country or the US, Canada, etc., countries like that, and if you have not got your immigration sorted out, your immigration status that allows you to move freely in and out, that may be a serious barrier for many people. And to be honest, I would not particularly advise you to consider retiring to Nigeria without your immigration status being sorted out, unless you know 100% you can live in Nigeria without going back to the Western country you came from. As for me, obviously, I'm lucky because of no part of mine, because my parents decided in the 1950s to travel to the UK and have children. That meant I am lucky that I have British citizenship, so I can move in and out of the UK. I probably would not, you know, do it full time retire. Well, I'm not even doing full time retirement in Nigeria uh, if I couldn't move out of Nigeria when I needed to move out. So after you sort out your immigration status, another big reason why we find it difficult to retire to Nigeria or any other African country is because we don't have the right mindset. The reality is, if you are coming from the West and you want to have exactly the same things you have in the West, in a country like Nigeria, you are going to be disappointed. Um, if you have the mindset of easily getting frustrated, you easily get frustrated, or you easily become anxious. I would advise don't consider retiring to Nigeria, because it's not for people that easily get frustrated or easily get anxious, because there are many things in Nigeria that can make you get frustrated or can extremely increase your level of anxiety. But there are also many positive things, and that's why I spend considerable period of time of each year living in Nigeria during my retirement age. Also, do you have the mindset, like me, that I'm coming to learn, even though I've been coming to Nigeria regularly, and for many years, even before my retirement, I stayed in Nigeria. But even then, I still have the mindset I'm coming to learn. I will make mistakes. People may sometimes do bad things to me, but I know that you have good and bad people in all countries. If you're coming from that with that mindset, you are probably going to be better off than if you're coming to Nigeria with the mindset that you are more superior than people in Nigeria simply because you have been living in the West, or you are coming to sort them out, or everybody in Nigeria is a con artist. That's not the mindset to have. If you have that type of mindset, you're not going to do yourself any favors. The third reason why it could be a bit difficult, and for me this was important, is you don't actually do enough retirement planning. I actually lived in Nigeria for a considerable period of years, I think 4 years before I actually got to my retirement age. But I actually never sat down and thought about doing retirement planning. It wasn't until my second year that I thought, something's wrong. And then I came across some books talking about retirement planning. So have you done enough of that retirement planning? Have you thought about how your retirement will be? Have you really thought about what type of accommodation you want, whether you want to upsize or downsize? And I would seriously advise downsizing is the best um, approach to retirement. And more importantly than the financial aspect, because obviously if you're coming from abroad, you probably got a pension. which £1,000, $1,000 plus, which would financially you won't have a problem in Nigeria if you're reasonable. But more important than the financial is the emotional and well-being and the social aspects of retirement. Have you thought about that? Have you planned about that? And that actually brings us to the next reason why, the fourth reason why it can be difficult, to retire into a country like Nigeria, and that is extremely difficult. If you haven't had regular visits and kept regular contact with friends and family in Nigeria, making new friends, making new contacts can be extremely difficult. The reality is, um, most people make friends in churches. I'm not religious, so I don't go to church or a mosque. So that's one area where I wouldn't consider making friends. And also, let's be honest, most of our relationships in Nigeria are transactional. And that has its positives and negatives. But transactional relationships, even in friendship, are prone to not last too long if both of you are not in agreement with the transaction, or if you don't understand what the transaction is. And as a result, a lot of people get lonely and mildly depressed. And if you're not careful, before you know it, you are not taking care of yourself, you're feeling miserable, and then you're getting all annoyed about the fact that you moved back to Nigeria, and in annoyance you go back, and then you only have only negative stories. So it's important to think about how will you develop your social and emotional contacts. And one of the things I would really like to do is to consider developing a support group for people from the diaspora who have come to retire in Nigeria, even if it's like me for part of the year, and we set up a support group of like-minded people where we do things. Because the normal channels where if I was when I'm living in the UK that I would make social contacts, like going to over 50 clubs, doing volunteering. They're not generally going to courses for the over 50s, just going to adult education programs. They're not really something that's done in Nigeria. The fifth reason why it may be difficult to retire in Nigeria is due to the fact that we still have a lot of financial commitments in the country where we're coming from. So from the Western country we are coming from. It could be you still have a mortgage and you still got several years of repayments to make. So you have to work. That's the reality. It could be that you still got a lot of child commitments. Your children may still need you financially. Um, Likewise, although I don't feel it's always positive, your children may rely on you for childcare. So all these are commitments that may make it difficult for you to consider retiring to Nigeria. Finally, the last reason why it may be difficult to consider retiring to Nigeria is that you may have some serious health conditions that you may be worried about, that if you do live in a country like Nigeria, um, how will you survive? And that could be something that you need to consider. However, I would say that yeah, well, I had prostate cancer. It's a big issue in Nigeria, but I had it in the UK and I've been treated and I'm doing quite well. So, and the fact of the matter is that I can come back into the UK if I need to for checkups, etc. And then outside that, I've had times when I've paid for services, health services in Nigeria. I remember once I fell into a gutter. Yeah, that's another story. I had malaria once. I don't normally get malaria, but I had it once. And each time I get to a good hospital. There are many good private hospitals, and even a few good state hospitals. And I've had decent treatment, affordable treatment, and yeah, and also what I have found is a lot of medication. Well, I'm not on a lot of medication, but the medication I'm on, you actually get it much cheaper in Nigeria than in the UK. Luckily now, having retired, I get my prescriptions free. But if I need to buy them in the in Nigeria, they're not expensive. So even if you do have a health um, matter issue that you're concerned about, make sure obviously that you keep contact with your medical consultant in the country you're living in, but be rest assured that there are very decent hospitals in Nigeria that and drugs are relatively much cheaper, things are much cheaper, particularly for instance glasses are much cheaper. So it's not all doom and gloom. So that's it. That's my six main reasons to may make it hard for people who are considering to retire in Nigeria to not do it. But what I would say is this: you only live once. So if you are thinking about it, at least give it a try. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You go back, or like me, because I'm doing it part time. Some months of the year I'm in Nigeria, some months of the year I'm in UK. Some months of the year I actually travel to other African countries, and some months of the year when I'm in the UK, I also visit some European countries. So, you know, don't tie yourself down. Don't be afraid. Give things a try, and who knows, you may find out that your retirement period is actually as you want it to be. So I hope you've enjoyed my post. Feel free to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to like. Feel free to share with like-minded people. But more importantly, please make comments so that I can actually ensure that I give you information about retiring to Nigeria that you want, the information that you want. So anyway, until next week, take care.